Throughout the history of the NBA, there have always been untold stories that were significant enough to have shifted the entire landscape of the league to some of the most random anecdotes that'll make you laugh and then at the same time make you shake your head in disgust. So let's get that out there. These stories are allegedly what happened. Starting off with the 2011 Lakers with the rumor that Pau Gasol's wife, girlfriend at the time, was sleeping with Shannon Brown. And me as a Lakers fan, that loss, that sweep to the Mavericks never really sat right with me because I knew something must have been off for the Lakers that have played so well for all three of those years, 2008, 2009, 2010, and then just fall apart like that in 2011. And if we look at Shannon Brown's stats, you can see he left LA after this 2011 season and had his best 2 seasons in Phoenix right after, but then unexplainably his minutes just drop off, and it's like the rumor of what he did finally made it around the NBA, and then he eventually got kicked out. The next is a little more lighthearted, but also a little more scary at the same time, with Mark Jackson potentially believing that Harrison Barnes, during a shooting slump with the Warriors, was possessed by demons and wanted to conduct an exorcism on him in order to make him play better. And if you know anything about Mark Jackson and his history with the league and the rumors that circulate him, he is the subject of a lot of debate. It tracks. Because think about it, Mark Jackson put together those Warriors. He coached up Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. Do you remember the elevator doors play they used to run for Steph and Klay Thompson? I miss seeing that so much. Mark Jackson must have ruffled a lot of feathers and upset a lot of people to be able to do what he did in such a short amount of time and get as much out of that team, but then be kicked out as soon as they hit their potential. The next is getting right back to more infidelity with Brent Barry's wife and Tony Parker back in 2010. And this one is more confirmed as Brent Barry's father spoke on it, but what's crazy about this whole situation is that she looks just like Eva Longoria. What were you doing, man? Like, did you just get too drunk and forget whose wife was who? Now, our fifth anecdote here has been highly contested, but has also been verified by different players, and this is Shaq pooping in Devin George's shoes. Back in 2001, apparently Shaq asked Devin George to do something for him. He said no, and then Shaq retaliated by pooping in his shoe, in which apparently Devin George put his foot in and got stuck in. That's so disgusting. You can't be pooping in people's shoes. There's no level at which that's funny or appropriate. Maybe it's a little funny. Drink your water. This next one started off as really funny, but over time, as we saw this person's life start to fall apart, it became less and less funny and more concerning. And of course, I'm referencing Delonte West and him sleeping with LeBron James's mom. This would be a massive contributor into why his mental health fell apart, because he obviously got so much flack for it. He left the league, he became homeless. There's so much that goes into his life. And so I don't want to make his downfall the butt of the joke here, but just simply the fact that he banged his teammate's mom. That's wild. And of course, from LeBron James's perspective, after you've seen Delonte West's life and how it's, played out, LeBron probably had somewhat of an idea that not everything was right with him, and then just, your mom is hooking up with like maybe the most mentally unhealthy person you've ever met. Mom, no. Mom, please. Mom, don't. Mom, not. When you think about LeBron's attitude and how he always feels like he has to talk about how good he is and always talk about his accomplishments, it kind of makes sense considering how much just trash he got when he came into the league. When he first got drafted, his own Cavs teammates thought he wasn't going to make any difference. And then finally, when he makes a decision that's best for him and his family and going to Miami, he's absolutely destroyed and dragged through the mud by nearly everybody. Now, this next one is a lot more lighthearted, as it's about Lou Williams sneaking off during the bubble in 2020 up to Atlanta at Magic City to get some of their infamous wings, which is also a strip club. To which Lou Williams infamously said he went there not for the strippers, but he went there for the wings, which apparently they're amazing, so I'm gonna trust him on this. Plus, it was during COVID and they were only doing lap dances from 6 feet away, and like, who wants a 6 feet away lap dance? Keeping on the subject of food, there's this hilarious anecdote of Kawhi going out with the Spurs team, the Spurs organization, and when it became time for Kawhi to order, he waved off the waiter and pulled out a bag of 12 apples. Then he apparently said, "Ooh, apple time." And that sounds so wild, but also so Kawhi Leonard, and apparently he ate all 12 apples with a knife and a fork. What a gentleman. Which is not to be outdone by the anecdote of Dion waiters having an edible on a plane while he was on the Miami Heat and having a panic attack and they had to emergency land. That is a surefire way to get fired from your job. Now, for number 10, we have one that's pretty intense, kind of sad, and honestly, a lot of debate has gone into whether or not it's true or not, but the timing of it all kind of lines up. And I'm speaking about Steve Nash's wife having an affair with Jason Richardson, and apparently their third child maybe being his kid. Now, again, all these stories are alleged, but Jay Richardson did get unexplainably traded away from the Suns around that time. You just can't be banging your teammates' wives or moms, dude. Like, there's all these women in the world that want you, and you gotta bang my mom, my sister. Come on, man. That's a red flag. I honestly honestly feel like this probably happens to so many of these shorter white dudes in the NBA that come in that are like 6'1", 6'2", and then their wives meet these guys that are 7 foot. Let me just see what it's about. This next one, J.R. Smith, we know is a person that does not make the best decisions after we saw the 2018 NBA Finals. This was back in 2018 where he was apparently having a lot of mental health issues, which probably contributed to that horrible play in the finals, but still, throwing hot soup at someone is not the best idea. Now, our next story involves a player pooping on the basketball court, and of course, yes, I'm talking about Paul Pierce in the 2008 NBA Finals when he pooped on the floor and then came back and everyone cheered him on. He's like, oh, I'm injured. Yeah, we all know. You admitted it and you took it back because you were embarrassed.
I have a confession to make. Whoa. I just had to go to a bathroom.
This next one is one of the most wild anecdotes as it's about Sarah Palin and Glenn Rice hooking up back in 1987. Apparently Sarah Palin loves black dudes and it was well known, so good for her, more power to you. And Glenn Rice was like, hey, I'm here for you, baby. Now this second to last anecdote I don't really love because it's about MJ's dad and it's just a very delicate thought process, but there is rumors, there is speculation, again allegedly, around MJ's debts, the way his father passed away, the timing of his first retirement. It just kind of feels like maybe something went really awry in his life and he really faced some serious retribution for it. It is a possibility, but again, allegedly. But we'll keep it 100. What was the father of the richest sports player in the world doing on the side of the road in one of the worst counties in America? And last but not least, probably the most funny on this list is that Ron Artest, when he was playing for the Bulls, got a job at Circuit City. Yes, one of the richest people in America decided to be a good idea to work at a local electronic department store, but for a good reason, because he was partying too much. He was hooking up with too many women. It was detrimental to his mental health, which we know he had some crazy issues going on up there. And also, he did admit he wanted to be the electronics plug in Chicago, which is absolutely something Ron Artest would say. And for a bonus story, we have Dikembe Mutombo, who used to go into strip clubs yelling out, "Who wants to sex Mutombo?" Which, just like many of these players in these stories, it is right on brand for the type of person he was. The bro was hilarious.
There's this story of Dikembe back in the glory days of walking into a nightclub.
Who wants to sex Mutombo?
Who wants to sex Mutombo?
You've heard it. You've heard it, haven't you?
Is the story true? We need to know if the story is true.
You've heard it before.
That's a confirmation. That is a confirmation.
So how did you, the first time that you heard him say, "Who wants to sex Mutombo?" What did you think the first time you heard him say that?
You are confirming the story.
No, just get to that. Like the first time you heard it. How hard did you laugh the first time you heard him say, "Who wants to sex Mutombo?"
No comment, man. No comment.
That is so insincere. Like, you can't no comment like that.
Oh, shit.
It's true. We cracked the case.
Yeah, there's some truth to that.
Yeah! A journalism victory! Yeah!
While we're on it, you got any idea who Biggie was talking about? And I got a story to tell.
That was his pickup line. That was his pickup line, yeah. And it worked. It worked, too.
It keeps going.
All right, that's enough yapping for today. I do have more of these stories. If you guys like this, I'll do a part 2. And as always, you know the deal. Go out there and do something great. But before then, yeah, watch one of these videos. Like this one on Kobe's 81-point game. I mean, it's way better than Wilt's 100-point game. That's why you should watch it.